Lately, I've been noticing a strange disconnect between what we all say we want the world to look like and the way we actually behave. There's an awful lot of talk lately about striving for a world of peace, tolerance, and mutual understanding. But sometimes I kind of feel like that if someone from another planet were to come and watch us and how we actually behave, they might not come to the conclusion that we want this peaceful world at all. We've all heard the old phrase, actions speak louder than words. And lately, it seems like although our words have definitely gotten louder, our actions tell a different story. Let me explain what I mean with a very fancy diagram. You can picture each of us living at the middle of 3 circles of different sizes. In the smallest circle is the people you interact with daily. This is your closest circle of influence and includes your family, close friends, coworkers, anyone like that. The next circle is a bit bigger and includes your acquaintances, or the people that you know but don't always interact with on a regular basis. This might include teachers, neighbors you're not particularly close to, the guy at the convenience store that you're somewhat familiar with, people like that. The largest and outermost circle is filled up with the people that you have never met. Strangers on the street, people in different countries, the other political group or social class, you get the idea. Just to be clear, and this is really important, these circles are not a measure of geographical closeness, nor of how much you like these people. Rather, they are defined by how well you know them, or how often you end up interacting with them, whether by your choice or otherwise. Now, here's the mistake we often make. When we talk about our visions for the world, or how we want it to change, we usually think that this will be primarily a process that is concerned with our outermost circles. Most of our concern tends to be about these outer circles of people. The real problem, we tend to think to ourselves, is the liberals or the conservatives, this race or that race, this gender or that gender, that social class, the people in this or that country, that religion, that ideology, that group of people. And usually these people are people whom we have never met and that we understand very little about. If we are active in trying to bring about world change ourselves, most of our effort goes to dealing with those people, those who are on the outer periphery of our circle of familiarity. But this doesn't just apply to our tweets and our posts and our lawmaking. When we think about taking on humanitarian projects or changing the world by offering a helping hand, we also tend to focus on the outer circles. People in distant and impoverished countries, refugees from places we've never been, or strangers whom we have never met. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't try to help these people, far from that. I'm just pointing out that when we talk about world change and what we can do to contribute to it, we tend to think that this is something that will happen out there, rather than in our own close circles of influence. Now let's take this idea a step farther. Imagine yourself at the middle of another set of circles. In the closest circle is your will, your habits, that which holds not only your attention, but your conscious and subconscious action on a day-to-day basis. In the next outer circle is your intellect. This is what you believe, whether or not you actually do it. The outermost circle is your fantasy. This is what you admire or dislike, but what ultimately has very little impact on your actions or your daily life. All of the virtue and goodwill in the world will do you and others very little good if they are out in the outer circle of your fantasy, rather than in the inner circle of your will and habits. It's one thing to admire the virtues of tolerance, kindness, or empathy, but it is quite another thing to actually embody these virtues. Our biggest impact on the world happens in the center 2 circles, the circle of our will and the circle of the people closest to us. All the good wishes in the world for people you have never met will have less impact than the way you treated the worker at McDonald's yesterday. Fantasies about a world full of kindness and love don't do any good at all if you are belligerent with your family and friends, or adopt a defiant and narcissistic attitude in your personal interactions. We want a world where everybody is kind and accepting of each other, but we are not putting this desire into practice in our daily lives. If we really want a world of tolerance, then we have to tolerate people, and this especially includes the people we dislike or disagree with. There are no awards for being kind to people who are already kind to you. Everyone does this. The most immoral people in the world usually do this. We may feel justified in treating people badly because of their actions or the way they have treated us or others. But remember that in their experience and in their worldview, they almost certainly feel every bit as justified in acting the way they act. Repaying their poor actions in kind only strengthens their case that you are the problem, not them. It would be well outside the scope of this video to sum up just how many wars and atrocities have been committed with the cry of "they started it." If we continue to seek revenge and vindication instead of reconciliation, it won't matter who started it, because nobody will ever finish it. If we say that we hope for a kinder and more loving world, but treat others with disrespect and contempt, then we are all talk, and the world we say we hope for is nothing more than a fairy tale that we enjoy talking about. Fairy tales are valuable, but only if they move us to change the way we interface with the real world for the better. If we really want to change the world, then let's just accept that this will not happen by posting cheap tweets. What if instead we started by smiling at people, listening to them talk, and taking the time to look them in the eyes? Why don't we start with things like, "Here, let me help," or "I see what you're going through," or maybe even the big one, "I'm sorry, please forgive me." Again, no brownie points for people who are already being kind to us. That is easy. There's a difference between being a doormat and giving others the respect they deserve simply because they are human, whether you like them personally or not. I'm working on this too, and I'm certainly not perfect at it. But we do need to try, because the world is not changed by what we say. The world is changed by what we do. Thank you for watching. Peace and blessings.